What up, everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe's X and Those podcast. Max here with you, and we took like a little break there. I don't know if you heard that. That was the sound of Christmas ale saying "Merry fucking Christmas."
Christmas in March.
In March.
Tasty.
I can't help but notice you still have your fucking playoff stash going there.
It might stay for a bit, bro.
Yeah.
I haven't decided when it's gonna get shaved. It is coming in.
Don't shave
terrible.
it until the Bills go to a Super Bowl.
Okay, we can keep that rolling.
I mean,
I do have
there next year, so it might
listen.
not be too long.
I do have trade shows I have to like show my face at. So like, we'll see what happens. But
oh man, fuck man, it's been a while. Man, this is like, March is primetime busy season for me. I'm basically working every day, so our schedules just haven't lined up yet. Sundays and Mondays are basically my only days off right now. However, in the sports world, it's kind of fucking us a little bit is the fact that the baseball owners are kind of being assholes, right? They're being greedy assholes. I don't know if anybody's, I'm kind of winging it here. We didn't have this written down to talk about, but it's just on my mind. So if you haven't followed any of the baseball stuff, the CBA agreement, I think the last time they did it was like 10 years ago, or was it longer than that? It was a while. It's been a minute. And the biggest thing that what my manager was telling me was these rookie contracts are 7 years usually, and they're like 600,000, I think, And the problem is you have players like, is it Soto? I think his last name's Soto.
Yeah, Juan Soto.
Yeah. He's 23 years old, but he's one of the best baseball players in the league, and he's grandfathered into that 600,000 a year when really he should be making fuck you money, right?
Yep.
So you'd have to wait 4 more years to get a new contract, but the owners don't want to do this because they want as much money as they possibly can and to save as much as they can, right? So I kind of get it. I get from the players' perspective of why they're trying to fight for it, and then how the owners are already canceling. Spring training is basically done, and they already canceled the home openers, right? I believe.
Yeah, at least I think it was like at least the first like 2 series of games.
Yeah.
Like for opening week. So
yeah, so they're willing to push this back and not pay the players, and it's just kind of like it seems like they're kind of far and nothing's going to get done. But that kind of affects us where I work because this time of year we're busy as hell for spring training, and people come in and we're slammed every day, and we're still pretty busy, but it's not quite what it was. And it sucks because 2 years ago obviously we had lockdown, so right when our busy season's supposed to happen we were shut down, and then last year we weren't open full capacity again due to COVID. So this would have been the first year back where we were full capacity, everything goes, and then bam, this CBA agreement kind of fucks us a little bit. So but yeah, that just sparked in my head and what's going on out here. But we got some things to talk about today because there's some other things going on in the NFL world, or the football world, you could say, because about a week ago the USFL had their draft. Didn't even know they were having a draft, and their games I think start next month in April. So we should probably definitely cover that. And we're football in the spring. You can hate it if you want. Talent might not be as good as what we see in college and NFL, but you know what? It's football. We're gonna watch. We're gonna break it down. It's gonna be great. And I might even bet on it because why the fuck not?
I'm kind of excited for the USFL. I want to see what kind of quality they put out.
They got some NFL coaches and shit.
I want to see if they make any unique changes or unique things for the game of football. Maybe progress it a little bit, and it'll just be fun to watch. It's good filler content for us football starved or NFL starved fans until the season starts. But
yeah.
The NFL doesn't have any shortage of things to pay attention to over the next few months until training camp rolls around here in August.
Yeah.
But
the only thing that if you want to pay attention to anything, if you're one of those people that watch those national news shows for sports, they seem to just kind of spit out some bullshit. It's this time of year. It's good for them because they need something to talk about. So we're going to break down some of that stuff that they keep talking about, and we're going to do some pro or some PFF top free agents stuff. Kind of look and see some of the rumors and like where people are kind of projected to go and who's at the top of the list and who's getting signed back, who's not, that kind of thing. And then we got to break down the NFL Combine because the NFL Combine is going on right now, and it's an interesting year for the draft, I think, because I mean we could say the biggest position is, I mean, receiver, dude. Receivers, this draft is interesting because like you might be able to snag one of these good receivers in the second round, you know. And with all the mock drafts that are out, which we'll review some of them of some of the top guys that put mocks together. A lot of linemen, man. A lot of linemen I feel like are going in this first round projected.
Yeah, so
which is great. Me and you are both linemen, so I love it,
Originally I didn't think the defensive like edge rush class and like the defensive tackle class was as deep, but then I started really diving in on some film, doing a little bit of film work and stuff, and I really like this class. Like, it's not you got some top end talent, but you got a lot of really quality prospects sprinkled in the top 100 there, for both defensive tackle and edge rush options. So I think that kind of surprised me a little bit from the last time I recorded, because I wasn't necessarily as high in that class, and then doing a little bit of legwork, I kind of starting to come around on it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think the offensive line class is pretty solid. It's this class is one of the ones that we'll dive into it a little bit more when we talk about the combine, but I think from top of the class to the mid rounds, you got a few top end talents, and then everybody else is just like kind of right there with each other. So I think this is going to be a teams that are looking for, now we got to build some depth players and get some quality guys, get guys that are definitely, more scheme fit wise. This draft has a lot of flavors. It's Baskin Robbins. It's the 32 different flavors of, prospects out there. You got a lot to pick from. So it's I'm starting to kind of come around on some of these guys and some of the position groups that are out there. So
yeah, I still even need to, dive in a little bit on some of these players and their game tape a little bit. This time of year is always crazy, man. There's just so many things to watch,
Oh yeah.
Do you want to start with here? Oh shit, I'm on.
Let's do
You want to do the PFF, the free agent rankings, the top 200?
Let's do some news cycle stuff to start with, like, because we got some quarterback things that we haven't had a chance to talk about here.
Yeah, we
on a couple weeks.
Quite a few. Yeah, some. Well, I mean, one of them in particular is pretty shocking of what's going on, I think. But hang on, where am I at here?
Are you referencing the quarterback of the state that you live in? Is that the one that we're talking about here?
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about, man.
Okay.
It started out with, everybody making a big deal about Kyler deleting Cardinal shit off his social media, which, by the way, like, I mean, it's so weird, like, because you and I got a good perspective, or anybody that's near our age, because like we actually grew up without like social media and like cell phones or anything, any tech really. Like we got to see internet hit, AOL, dial up, all that shit. Dude, like being a player back in the 90s had to have been fucking cool because nobody could keep tabs on you. But like, now like something as subtle as that on an Instagram page, and it's fucking huge news. Like you can't even shit without people fucking being on your shit. You know what I mean? It's just kind of crazy to me. But Kyler Murray supposedly deletes all his Cardinals things, and then the Cardinals retaliate by deleting all Kyler things, and it's like this big back and forth thing. And apparently,
and then
what's that?
And then his agent releases a fucking statement, on Kyler's behalf that makes a Harry Potter book look like a fucking haiku with how long it was. I mean, goddamn, dude, like that fucking. It took me 6 years to read through it, but I mean, how great, like. It's been an interesting back and forth between the organization and Kyler, and you've got Steve Keim, the general manager, was and Cliff Kingsbury. They both signed extension deals, and now it's like, all right, here we go. So
like when that came out, that was recent. They gave them extensions, right? that extension kind of irritates me more than because Kyler, like, it's weird. I understand some fans are frustrated with Kyler Murray because he does some great things, right? I mean, I mean, earlier in the season, I mean, his track record so far up to this date, he's made some big plays. He's athletic. He can win football games. There seems to be a question of him being healthy enough to get to the playoffs. And, I mean, they were in the playoffs this year based on what they did in those first like 8 weeks and then kind of fell off. But it surprises me that they give Cliffberry or Kingsbury, I always call him Cliffberry. I don't know why.
You know what? Call
I'm
him
about to call him.
Cliffberry
I
because
know.
that's fucking that sums it up pretty much.
You know what I mean? I don't trust him, dude. Like, we broke it down on the show before, and like you saw him at Texas Tech with how he kind of nosedives seasons, and it's followed him to the NFL. And like, if they come out next year and then have don't make I'd say if they don't make the playoffs next year, especially in a division where the 49ers bounce back, Seattle's down, they're kind of rebuilding, but I guess you do have the Rams in your division too, Super Bowl champs. But they made the playoffs this year. They should have that expectation next year with basically the same team for the most part. I think I was under the impression that if they did bad next year, that Kingsbury would be done and they would fire him. So they don't want to give Kyler this extension. I kind of get it, maybe let him play one more year and kind of see what's up if you want to sign him long term. But yeah, I was kind of weird when they extended Kingsbury because like I just don't think he's the guy. I mean, there was a point there in the season where like their offense was on fire and like he would get down to the 10, 15-yard line and they were throwing they were running 4 pass plays when you had Connor fucking like balling out through most of the year. So like, I don't know, dude. I mean, obviously I'm sitting here being critical and I'm not a football coach, which is easy to do from the outside. But there's a lot of people that don't like him, even fans.
To me, like obviously I think old Cliff Bar needs to figure out how to be more consistent, and kind of adapt to because it's always moving pieces with, you got like your chess match, right? Like you got your scheme, teams figure it out and adjust. You need to be better at making adjustments on top of that. That's why those second half collapses for the Cardinals seems to happen quite frequently, is because there's never enough adjustments or never enough just internal assessment for getting better, right? Or trying to counter what other teams are doing against you. So like I think there's room for improvement there. I think Steve Keim has done they've put together talent on the team. But talent is only half the battle. You have to build the culture, the locker room, the personalities that are willing to, better each other and, really, really thrive in high stress situations. And then as far as on the Kyler front, it was an interesting strategy on his part, to have his agent release a statement essentially saying like, we feel like we want to be a part of the organization, but we feel like you guys, need to commit to my, my talents and what I've done to help this organization get over the hump, which, I mean, outside of making the playoffs this year and having a first, a game 1 exit, like, I mean, I get where, since who was the last quarterback to really show success there? Was it Palmer?
Palmer,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So like, I get where he's coming from, but you look at some of the guys that have gotten extensions recently, Pat Mahomes, what was his motto? It'll get done when it gets done. It was never, hey, I did this, release a press release out into the, the marketplace and, make a big to do about it. Josh Allen just recently, what was his whole mantra? Listen, we know talks are going on. I'm not going to concern myself with it. I'm just going to go out there and be the best quarterback I can be for this franchise. It'll get done when it gets done. Like we'll let it work itself out. Boom, it happens.
Yeah.
So like, it's the opposite end of the spectrum of, almost like he needs the validation, right? Like I need you to, really commit to this. And, the organization committed to the 2 guys that are making the decisions. and they haven't committed to him yet. So, I think this could get messy, maybe not right away, but if a deal doesn't come across or down the pipeline this year, I could see this really kind of getting ramped up and getting messy next off season
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, no, like I thought it was weird too, the timing, because like Kyler, this was his third year, right? Because he's a year behind Baker. So he technically has, next year would technically be the year where, you could make the decision to extend them, right? Because that would be year 4. So I felt like it was a little early on their part, right?
yeah, usually year 3, year 4 is it's typically a right around the ballpark
Yeah.
of when that happens. So, like I get him wanting to push the issue, a little bit, but
Mhm.
I just don't know that the public statement is the route to go right off the bat, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's something that you sit on now when the deadline comes, and if you've exhibited a little bit more success playoff wise or consistency making the playoffs and things, like now year 4 rolls in and you say, hey, we've made the playoffs, we won a few playoff games, like I feel like I deserve this, maybe you can start putting your foot forward that side of it. But I just don't know that year 3, coming off of the first playoff appearance, in your well, no, it'd be year 2, coming off your first playoff appearance, like going into year 3. I think this year is the year, where that's kind of where you start to see that those contract talks happen. It's
Yeah.
not the end of year 2. It's okay, hey, end of year 3, going into year 4, let's see what we can come up with, and and play it out that way, because typically that's where teams will build in the 5th-year option as
Mhm.
part of the contract and part of the extension, and roll that money in and kind of spread it out across longer terms and stuff. So really, I think he was just a year too early in forcing the issue, and it makes me think that there is a little insecurity there, or some sort of misalignment on philosophy or something like that within the organization. So
Yeah.
uh that's just it's an interesting situation. I just don't know. um I just don't know that this was the right play at this
Mhm.
time
Yeah.
for Kyler.
No, I agree. I especially since I think he was pretty close. Obviously, we mentioned that, the nosedive towards the end of the season, he didn't play significantly well. I mean, like that turnover, what was that? Was that the playoff game where it was like the pick six, like that
Oh
looked
yeah,
bad,
and
that
he
kind of
threw.
thing. But
Yeah,
like, but like, his play could have spoke for himself for most of the, because there's a lot more good play. I think that would have got him the extension and
that
versus going this route,
that could be part of it too, right? Like, you're coming off of a not very good playoff outing.
Yeah.
You come off of a performance like that, and then say, all right, I want a contract extension. It's like, bro, you threw like 4 picks in a playoff game. Like,
Yep.
not necessarily good. Like, so optics wise, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Now, do I think he's necessarily wrong, like in the grand scheme of things? I think the Cardinals are a team that can win with Kyler, and I think Kyler is only going to get better. There's some things that I think they need to do from a team standpoint to kind of assist him a little bit more. But so I'm not necessarily saying he's wrong in wanting a contract extension, or that the Cardinals shouldn't pay him. But it's just a weird situation, and I just don't know that it was the right move on his part. Like, if you're gonna try to endear yourself to the organization and to the fans,
Yeah.
to deserve it. But
I don't know who
you
his
know
agent is, but it almost kind of seems like it could have been like an agent thing that kind of was like, hey, we should do this.
well,
Maybe.
yeah,
Because like the media, after this, they were trying to like shit on his character too. So, he kind of had to go into,
well, that's stuff that we don't see day to day,
right,
right?
right.
So, like,
Yeah.
like I could say, after this year, if he improves, and like I said, I could see kind of like where where they could say Kyler's the man,
Yeah.
and like he's going to be the guy to lead this organization. Like, I could see that being the case, but I haven't seen enough yet to
Mhm.
really say to commit it. And that's where I think this upcoming year is the biggest year for him, for that side of it. So, I think they jumped the gun. I think they were a year too early on this and trying to get this, put in place. So
yeah. It'll be interesting to watch that. A couple some news came out about first being Miami pulled themselves away from the Deshaun Watson rumors, trade rumors, and then shortly after that, a former, I don't know if it was a current player or a former player for the Texans was trying to say that the stuff with Watson was not actually like a hush hush thing,
like
almost like they knew.
Like it wasn't necessarily surprising behavior on his part. Is pretty much what they were. Yeah.
So interesting news there. We still don't really know what's going on with the situation, just because it's been hush hush, and we just nobody fucking knows. He hasn't been charged with anything yet, and he still could be. It's just to me, it's an insane situation. It's so fucking crazy that we haven't heard shit about it, and for something like this that's so public to not have any more or new news on it, it's kind of crazy to me. But those are the latest. I mean, we'll see what happens here in the near future, because I feel like we're getting to that point where some shit's got to go down soon, right? I remember like a year, like a year and a half. Was it like a year and a half or so since this news came out, or a year? I don't know.
It's amazing to me, like, that there hasn't been more of this in the news cycles, and like even now with off season, like this is where your rumor mills and foundations for trades and like interests and stuff, especially in the combine. Like this is where coaches and GMs and decision makers are all together in the same place. So like typically you hear, a lot of news and, a lot of these rumor mill things kind of start churning. And it was a huge thing last off season, and we haven't really seen much on that front. So it's kind of intriguing to me that, it's been kept under wraps as much as it has. And you just haven't seen, like, from a legal status, you haven't really seen anything. And, until that part resolves itself, I don't know that we're really going to get tremendous insight on next move for Deshaun Watson. But that was certainly an eye-opening statement, on behalf of the fact, just kind of commenting on his day-to-day behavior patterns and things like that. And like I said, I don't want to like shit on him because, we're still letting this play out and everything, but it was just kind of an interesting perspective from a former current teammate of his. I can't remember exactly, what the context of it was, but it was definitely interesting. Who was it that had posted that? Do you know? So that way anybody that's listening can go find that, link.
I might have saw it on, was it Bleacher Report, maybe?
I think I sent it via.
Wait, you sent it to me, didn't you, on Twitter?
Yeah, I sent it to you, but I can't remember.
It was. It was Fox Sports Radio. Brady Quinn was the one that.
Brady Quinn. Okay, yeah. So Fox Sports Radio, Brady Quinn.
Yeah, he didn't drop a name. I don't think he just said a player. So he was the one that reported it, though.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody wants to see that, they can go to the Fox Sports Radio and listen to that Brady Quinn piece. It's, again, just one perspective, but the more you dive into certain things, like essentially where there's smoke, there's fire, so to speak. So, it kind of is a little eye opening in that regard.
I had to go into that to get that message. I had to cross through what you sent me of the Miami's coach looking like fucking Mark Ribier.
Dude,
hilarious.
Dude, they hired Luke Daddy as their head coach.
That dude's so awkward. That dude's weird in interviews, but it's entertaining. I fucking like it,
bro. I had to send that to you because you were the one that hooked, like, got me like onto his Twitter handle. Yeah. And so like I follow him and like stuff happens, and then Loop Daddy will pop up, and of course, now this is so funny to me. But yeah. That was a funny tweet.
Fuck. Still talking about quarterbacks here. Well, this is always going to be news, right? I think Aaron Rodgers, like, well, in the sports world, right, in our society, like, it's kind of the same thing. I think Aaron Rodgers deals with the same shit that LeBron kind of deals with. Like, LeBron gets shit on a lot. It's generational too. Like, anybody who grew up with MJ seems to just, no matter what, shit on LeBron because MJ won 6 rings straight. So everybody's held LeBron to that standard since he was 18, which is pretty unfair. I mean, before the dude even played his first basketball game in the NBA, he was compared to Michael Jordan as an 18-year-old and like had this unnecessary pressure to be the next guy to be better than Jordan, right? Well, and most people are measuring. I don't know what people measure that by. If it's just rings, then you kind of, especially in the NFL, it's like, Aaron Rodgers, should he have more than one Super Bowl win? Probably, as many times as he's been to the NFC Championship game. But not everybody's Tom Brady either, dude. Tom Brady also took $20 million a year on average because his wife was a supermodel and made all the fucking money. So that left money for them, the Patriots, to keep building a team around them, right?
It's
so there's
that, and he had some off the salary cap revenue that I think he was able to get away with his TB12 method and things like that. Yeah, there was So
but yeah, look at John it took John Elway till he was fucking at the end I don't know how old he was at the time when he won those he lost the first one, right? And then went back to Super Bowl the second year and finally got one, right? Dan Marino will always be known for somebody, one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever won a Super Bowl, right? Like, it's hard as fuck to win a Super Bowl, right? And you have some quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls that, fell off, and like Joe Flacco, right? Won a Super Bowl. Right after that, got his contract extension and fucking didn't do shit after that and ended up, you know what I mean? So, like, it's an ultimate team sport. Like, we can't just judge quarterbacks by how many rings they have necessarily. Although we do. And I think Rodgers gets a lot of hate. And like the big talk is about him maybe going to a different team. And we all know it. We all seen Love play this year, right? Like, if Aaron Rodgers isn't with the Packers, they're not the same team. Like, they don't fucking make it to where they made it to. Like, he absolutely is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, there's just, watch the fucking tape, dude. You know what I mean? Any team that's like built like the Colts, I would even maybe say the talent that the Browns do have besides receiver, like, you plug Aaron Rodgers in any of these teams, like, they're immediately going to be fucking in the race for a fucking Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand the hate that he gets, and like the media puts on him every fucking season. I know he's getting older, but he can still play right now. So I don't know if he'll go to another team. I know they keep saying Denver, and all this shit, but and then they keep saying that he's asking for all this money, but then he goes on Pat McAfee show and says like it's all fucking rumors, So like, don't know what to really believe on the reports, but obviously off season, we'll find out in a couple months. But would you be shocked if he went to a different team, like a different contender?
No, especially with the with the rumors and some of the just previous behavioral like last off season. It's it would not shock me. Here's the thing. I think Rodgers realizes, last year's debacle was stemmed from a like a lot of miscommunication and a lot of like a little bit of animosity with front office, and their GM Brian Gutekunst. Like, it was, you're not keeping me in the loop, blah blah blah. Like, I'm frustrated. It upsets me. Like, I'm your franchise guy. Like, you should be, at least mentioning something to me, so that way if I have an issue or whatever, I can voice my opinion. And like, that was last year's thing. Like, maybe I don't want to be in this organization anymore, whatever. Okay, that seemed to have been ironed out. Now it's more or less, I think he realizes, like, he doesn't have a lot of time left in the NFL. And if he wants to win a Super Bowl, and really cement his legacy, maybe the Green Bay Packers aren't the team with some of the cap issues and some of the things coming up to make that happen, right?
Yeah.
until
because Adams wants a max contract too, right?
Right, he probably will be. He'll probably be the highest paid receiver, highest paid extension in this offseason. So, like if Rodgers looks at it and goes, I don't know that you guys can do enough to really help me out and push us over the edge. Like last year they didn't even make the conference finals, or the champion, the NFC championship game. Like if he looks at it and goes, I don't know that you guys are going to be able to do enough to improve our status from last year going into next year to contend with the Rams, to contend with the 49ers, to some of these other teams that beat them up a little bit this year. I think he could absolutely move on. And the only reason he's going to do that is if he goes to a team that says, here's what the plan is, here's what we're going to do, here's how we can make a Super Bowl with you as our quarterback. And I think that is going to be really the driving force for if he gets traded this year. And he hasn't made up his mind yet, on what he wants to do. I think I don't know that we'll see that until post draft and post free agency, to be honest with you, to see kind of what's going on. So, I could absolutely see him moving on. Like it's right now it's a 50-50 proposition for me. Like I could absolutely see him stay depending on how Green Bay attacks free agency in the draft this year, but I could also absolutely just see him saying, yeah, you guys didn't do enough, trade my ass. Like I want to go to, these are the 3 teams that I'm looking at.
I was just thinking of the NFC. I'm like, fuck, dude, like Tampa. Like, I don't know. Like if you're like teams that could go and compete to win now, it'd be like Tampa. I mean, if the 49ers want to get rid of
maybe
Garoppolo's not going to be there, but like
Tampa just had like 3 offensive linemen might be, gone.
That's true. That's true.
Chris Godwin may be gone. We talked about him on the last podcast a little bit. Like, Tampa maybe, but like, I think the team that I really would not be shocked on, we talked about it a little bit. I don't be surprised on if the Broncos try to do some stuff to make that move happen, or, we'll see. But we'll have to see how this offseason shakes out a little bit more, like as we go through it. But
I'm just looking at, like, because it probably wouldn't be smart for him to go to the AFC because the quarterback play there is pretty fucking competitive.
Listen,
not that it's not on the NFC, but more so on the AFC.
Listen, honestly, more so than any other year. And I had this conversation the other day with a couple of my buddies. I was just like, we were really spoiled. But well, not spoiled. I wasn't spoiled. I was just fucking pissed off. But we in the NFL landscape, it was death, taxes, and Tom Brady is the AFC favorite quarterback to make the Super Bowl, or the Patriots are the AFC favorite AFC team to make the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, and that was like that really shaped the narrative for the last 20 years of, oh yeah, like. They got, like, and you talked about it a little bit, like Dan Marino made it, 1 year and then never went back. Like John Elway took him forever. Like that's really how it's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
Tom Brady enters the picture, and for 20 years we've been, well, fuck, what NFC team is going to be the team that's playing Tom Brady this year? You know what I mean? So that really, I think, changed reality for a lot of NFL fans and a lot of fan bases. Like, and that's where I think now more than ever, there is so much parity in the NFL that it's anybody. If you have an elite quarterback, like, in the AFC, it could be the Bills, it could be the Chiefs, it could be the Chargers, it could be the Ravens, it could be, who else am I? It could be the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, I feel like in the AFC, you got like 5 or 6 teams that it's like anybody's game. And in the NFC, it's the same deal, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, if San Francisco retains Jimmy G, or whatever happens there, like San Francisco's the team. The Cardinals, despite us kind of shitting on them a little bit, they're a team that's a contender, for the NFC. So like, it really is anybody's game, and I feel like it's wide open now. So like Aaron Rodgers could absolutely say, you know what, we saw what happened last year in the playoffs and what happened for some teams in, with Patrick Mahomes. If I go to Denver, maybe he thinks Denver is a really good shot, even though he might have to go through Patrick Mahomes. You're in fucking Rodgers, man. Like, that might be the sorry guys, you're going to take a backseat to us now. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to have some options, and there's with the parity in the NFL
Dude, it's
currently.
crazy. It's crazy, like to think that too. Like what we were talking about was like take Brady out of it. It's like you look at all the other Super Bowls. I mean, Cam Newton played in one and lost, and then kind of fell off. I mean, the last 4 years, what was it? The 4 years that the Chiefs have been to the AFC Championship, and they've won one Super Bowl out of those 4.
Right, that's what I mean. Like,
you know what I mean? So like, it's not
that's
easy.
the team. That's the team that's been the most consistent from a success standpoint, hosting 4 AFC Championship games in a row. But yeah,
They've been to 2 and lost, and won one and lost.
Right, exactly. So, the only other consistent team has been the Patriots throughout the last 20 years with Tom Brady. And so, like, now that he's out of the NFL, I just think it's far more. There's far more parity. And if Aaron Rodgers thinks that he can go into Denver or go into an AFC team and division and say, you know what, we know we can contend and we can beat you, Kansas City, like, and win this division or whatever it is, like, okay, yeah, I could see it being the case. So,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, as a Browns fan, like, if you told me, hey, like Browns are willing to trade to get fucking Aaron Rodgers, and I know he's older and he's probably got maybe like 2-3 years of good ball left, maybe. Behind the offensive line the Browns have, obviously they have to have some receivers after that. Like, I'd be very confident in their ability to go to the Super Bowl and win within those couple of years because of Aaron Rodgers. Like, because they're a run first team, like they have everything built, and then he could get you to where he needs to get you within the pass game. So like, I'd feel really confident with that. And I mean, you look at like the Rams, if you're trying to just get to the Super Bowl and win a ring, it's like Rams went fucking all in, dude. They made that trade for Stafford. They got Von Miller and OBJ once what's his face went down, Williams. And it ended up working. You know what I mean? Now it might fuck them in a couple of years, with cap and all that shit, and they might have to rebuild a little bit, but they got the ring. So I don't know if it's a model that teams are going to start following. If you're really close, we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's interesting with the Rodgers talk. It's also funny too is a lot of people. I've met a couple Seattle fans that come into the bar, and I talk to them. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of fans that don't like Russell Wilson, man. I thought Seattle loved him, but that's not the case. A lot of them kind of would rather him just be gone, which I found interesting. Wilson's another guy that I'd be pretty confident in, like you say, and I'm speaking from a Browns fan, right? Where if the Browns had him, I think we have enough built there to where Wilson can probably get you over the hump. But I don't know. I mean, how good do you think Wilson is? I mean, everybody, when he came in and was kind of taking the league by fire, like, they did have that defensive unit that was fucking insane, right? The Legion of Boom. But I mean, I don't know. Do you think, like, what do you think of Wilson as a talent, as a quarterback, and do you think that he'll be traded? He's got 1 year left on his contract. Do they just play him, finish that out this year, and then he goes to a different team, or do you think they'll trade him and start rebuilding within Seattle?
Well, I think that won't happen until Pete Carroll finally says, all right, I'm out. You know what I mean? And then they start retooling. But I could absolutely see Russell not wanting to play there. I don't think they've done enough on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball as far as protecting them. And, and I think some schematic things gotten a little stale, and teams that caught up to the Seahawks a little bit there. Russell Wilson is still an absolute top tier NFL talent. It's a guy that's a franchise guy. And still plays at a franchise level. I think a lot of people forget that he was hurt and had to have a thumb surgery last year, which affected some of his play.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah. So like, there's, I still think he's one of those guys that, any NFL team that's in quarterback purgatory would be like, yes, please, like, bring him over. Well, we've got some stuff in place here where we can make it work. So, it's just one of those deals that it's for Seahawks fans, it would be, you don't know what you got till it's gone sort of thing. And if he were to leave, I think that reality would hit pretty hard. And I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to move on from him. A guy that's, the Legion of Boom years, like they had a like that was a complete team. They had a
Oh yeah.
fucking phenomenal defense. Russell was out there, captain, being the captain of the offense, and just like, being the man on the offensive side of the ball there. So like, that was a complete team, and they just haven't put a complete team around them.
Right. And
Then.
let's not forget that, the Seahawks Wilson should probably have another ring. We all know about the debacle of the not giving it to Marshawn Lynch on the fucking 1 yard line,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's interesting. That's kind of one of the all this quarterback stuff is kind of, especially Rodgers and Wilson, is like the big thing that these national sports media shows are talking about. If you listen to the show, I shit on sports media all the time. Like I don't even really watch it much anymore. Your cowherds, all those fucks, because it just drives me nuts, because I don't think any of it's real, honestly. And I think that's why a lot of these podcasts are taking off. Example, and not to try and be too much of a homer, but if I'm at the gym and ESPN's on or something, like I've noticed this, I don't know about you, but like every headline when they're talking about quarterbacks, the Browns and Baker keeps popping up. And then I've been critical of Baker this year, obviously. As this in the off season here, I've reflected and think like, okay, I kind of put it on Stefanski because, the one thing that changed from last year was the fact that, like, your quarterback's banged up, but you're still throwing 30 times a game. And, why? So, and you could question like why Baker was even playing, you know what I mean? Well, I've already talked about that, but I just noticed it a lot of times. A lot of the headlines is like, well, Browns are open. And usually it's Mary Kay Cabot, who's like been, I don't know if you know anything about Cleveland sports media, but they're pretty shitty too. And she's shits on everything and like instigates all this bullshit. But they're mostly her reports saying that the Browns are into looking at other quarterbacks, which I think every team to an extent is always kind of looking, you know what I mean? But I think they already extended or already gave him I think they already did his extension anyway. So you have him for at least another year, I think. The draft class isn't crazy. A couple mock drafts we'll go over. I mean, some of them when we do the Draft Network mock draft, I've gotten a couple times where they have the Browns taking a quarterback at 13. I don't think it's going to happen. Because we do know Baker can win games. His fourth quarter play and comebacks are probably not great, but I mean, you can win with them. We've seen it the year before going to the playoffs. Like it happened. Just the landscape of what's out there in terms of quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, Garoppolo wins games when he's healthy. Not super flashy, right? But he's there. He's an interesting candidate. I don't know where he's going to go. I definitely don't think he'll be with the 49ers. Will probably move on and go with Trey Lance, I would imagine, unless they decided that maybe Trey Lance isn't their guy. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the quarterback landscape. I mean, who else is up for debate? I mean, you hear like the Raiders, but I think Carr's fine. I think Carr's going to be fine there. I think they're going to keep him. Yeah, dude. I don't know. All this is gonna actually with the date's what? It's March 5th. Doesn't the league start on the 16th or something like that? Where trades and shit can happen. It's coming up.
15th or 16th. Yeah, it's coming up.
So I think we're gonna see some moves pretty quick when this happens. I think this just popped in my head. We're spitballing right now. It's the off season. We have some notes, but like, it's one of those, that's just how it is in the off season. You get an idea, something pops in my mind. I was thinking Bills. I mean, the point I was making is the fact that the sports media just shits on Baker. And it's like, I mean, he gets shit on all the time, even whenever it's like kind of like pointless to do it. You know what I mean? I just think it's kind of funny. But my buddy who's a Bears fan hit me up and he sent me something asking about Mitch Trubisky, right? And we all know that Trubisky went and kind of sat behind Josh Allen with the Bills and Dabble, and he only played in the preseason, but looked a lot better. He looked pretty decent, in that system. And you heard him talk like he thought this year was great, to be able to sit and learn and kind of take that all in and like make his game better. And the question becomes, I know the GM with the Giants said that they're going to roll with Danny Dimes or Danny Loans, whichever one you want to call him. But now I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what are the odds that Dabble tries to get Trubisky to come to the Giants and give him another shot?
There's a lot of actually buzz about that, that they're very interested in doing that. And I think there's a lot of teams that are interested in his services in general.
I mean, he's technically a winning quarterback, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I know
I
we
don't know.
talked. I know we linked the Broncos to Rodgers a little bit,
Yeah.
but there seems to be some buzz there where Trubisky might get a shot.
Yeah.
There with the Giants. Who knows? Maybe the Washington Commanders may request some services from Mitchell as well. The Bills seem to be talking about the fact that he is going to start somewhere this year, and that they're not going to retain him as a backup quarterback, and that he's going to essentially secure the bag, if you will, this offseason with getting paid. So, I think he's going to have some prospects here, and the Bears fans should be very ecstatic with what they have in Justin Fields, and I do think that Mitch Trubisky is going to get his shot, and I think it was a good reset year for him, kind of
Yeah.
get back into the doing the right things and being in an organization where you can work with some coaches and stuff that really know how to unlock some of the best traits of yourself. So and it's not like he was a slouch. Like you said, he was a winning quarterback in Chicago, and there's certain things that he can do, and he's just you want to, if you're a fan of a team, like I would not be necessarily upset with Mitchell Trubisky to see what he can bring to the table with kind of like a renewed outlook, on the game of football from his standpoint. So
Yeah, and like he won some games for Chicago. Chicago still had a decent defense, but also, I mean, we saw like the Nagy experience in Chicago, and how everybody seemed to struggle there, and how the offense was just like really shitty, right? So, to see Trubisky in a different offense with the experience he's gathered from there, and with the Bills, I was thinking about it just more, because originally I was like, man, I don't think so, but then after a while, I was like, maybe he will get a second chance. I mean, we've seen some other people get crazy amounts of second chances, and who are not as athletic, and I think even on his level. So I think what's also helping him this year is the lack of quarterbacks in the draft too, as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those moves. Well, you said the Bills aren't going to hang on to him, right? So that wouldn't be a trade then, right? So that could just be a signing whenever this season starts on the 15th or 16th.
I'll put it this way. They are expecting him to go somewhere and get paid.
Okay.
We'll just say that. There's enough buzz and enough, there's enough going on where, they believe that he's not going to be an option that's going to fit in their cap situation this year. So,
well, something to keep an eye on. That's exciting. Actually, I didn't everything's flying so fast in terms of the year. Because it was the fact that we're in March just blows my mind. So the fact that the trades and shit about to open up here this month is crazy. I mean, fuck that. We got to look at the NFL Combine. Before we get to the Combine, though, let's go over some of these free agents we've been kind of talking about here. I pulled up a list. Let me see here. I got PFF's top 200 players. Obviously, we won't go over all 200 free agents.
Yeah, we went through the first 10.
Oh, we did,
the last one.
We did. I forgot.
So we can do the next 10 here, starting at numero 11.
What we got here? Okay. Jesse Bates the third, Cincinnati Bengals. He wanted an extension this past offseason. But the Bengals decided to kind of prioritize Sam Hubbard there, which paid off actually. So I don't know. Do you think he stays with them?
Yeah, I do. They're gonna. I don't know that defense played pretty.
He's very durable. He hasn't
Yeah,
been injured or anything.
I think that defense played pretty well
Yeah,
through the last
especially
stretch of the
the
season.
last stretch of the season they did, and
So,
they were shitty early on, but
and I think that was Jesse Bates was a big part of it. So
yeah,
I think they retain him. I don't see him hitting the market, honestly. And as a player, with when you have a quarterback in Joe Burrow, and you got players on offense like you have, and you're performing the way you did on defense, like it just makes it easier for you to say, you know what, I want to come back. So, especially with some of the successes that he had this year, I could absolutely see him coming back. They have him franchise tagging him, which is a 12.9 hit against the cap. But I do know that the Bengals have some decent space there, so I could absolutely see it. Uh, so
yeah. I mean, most of the time, I feel like a lot of free agents usually sign back. It just really depends. Like I'd like to see what a ratio is. I mean, I'm sure there's a stat out there somewhere of like the ratio on average of players that go to a different team and the ones that resign. Um, I'd be interested to see what that is. At number 12, we got Ryan Jensen, center, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He, I think, played with the Ravens a little bit too. Um, you know, might be one of those things you were talking about with Tampa, like they might lose 3 linemen. This could be one of the linemen that they do lose.
it's possible, but I don't know. Personally, I don't see with Ali Marpet retiring. Like I would think that the Bucks would want to
Right.
retain what they can offensively,
Yeah. And the
especially on
center,
the offensive line.
I was gonna say, as good it is to have your franchise tackle. I mean, your center is basically the quarterback of the offensive line. They're making all the calls and shit. So centers are pretty valuable as well. They're probably hard to come by. And I would imagine that the Tampa Bay would do everything they could to keep a guy like this. I love how it says weakness can be over aggressive. Can you really be over aggressive though? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, outside of I don't know. If you're over aggressive and not drawing penalties, like it's not a bad thing. Like, whatever.
right. This one's been kind of at 13, it's been kind of talked about Jadeveon Clowney if he's going to re-sign with the Browns. Apparently, he liked playing there. I mean, I think he was injured a little bit. He played probably the most. I don't know. I guess he did have some injuries this year, but I mean, he had some big plays for us, and who knows, man. I don't. I mean, edge rushers are hard to come by. I don't know what the Browns are going to do. Like if they're going to try and get somebody else. I don't know. This one's interesting. He was really good in the run game when he's on the field. I don't know how many games he missed this year, but that's going to come down to it. I feel like.
Yeah, well, injury history is big. There is a pretty significant pattern there for injury issues for him. So I think that is a concern. I mean, they got a contract rejection of 15 million with 12 million guaranteed. I just that's going to be a tough one. A team will pay him. We'll definitely pay him that.
Yeah. But
Just
he's
a
not
matter of
he's not a number one end though.
no. He's going to be a complementary piece. Like he's not going to be the guy, right? So that is
because he's more of like a run stopper.
Yeah.
He's not going to get you a ton of sacks, but he was,
Do you think he moves on from Cleveland this year? Or do you think Cleveland says, thank you for your services? Or
I think it depends because, like, I think that's a spot as a secondary role. They could probably find a guy, whether it's in the draft or another free agent, to maybe have that kind of production and take that money. And if they really have to, like, like I said earlier, if the Browns really have to go out there and like maybe they trade for Ridley or try and really get one of these free agent receivers on top of drafting one, they're going to need some money to do so. To make that happen. So if they said no to this 15 mil, I would think it would be to have the money to add a weapon on the offensive side of the ball.
yeah.
So we'll see, and that's kind of like when you're constructing your roster here, like that's kind of what it comes down to. Like, what do you need the most? That's kind of what you draft and that kind of thing. But like I mentioned when we started the podcast, like the Browns kind of have a receiver crisis right now. Cause like I said, I don't think Landry is going to stay. And I don't think, I mean, Higgins is gone too. And he hasn't really played much the last year and a half anyway. So they're going to need to fill those receivers in.
Yeah. And,
Right
honestly,
now you're just left with Schwartz basically and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So, and Schwartz is only going into his second year. He's the speedster guy. You got to get somebody else in there.
and honestly, I think the guy at 14 is probably going to be a more coveted asset in the offseason than what Clowney would be.
Right. And like, I'd be shocked though if the Dallas let him go though,
Yeah. So 14 is Randy Gregory, and he had a pretty phenomenal turnaround on Dallas's defense, and he was a dominant force. But again, a guy that worked behind or worked opposite of a pretty productive and solid player in DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
So, I think, this is going to be tough because Gregory,
he was injured too.
Yeah, still had some injury problems, but definitely flashed and is a guy that had his best year opposite of a pretty elite pass rusher and player in DeMarcus Lawrence. So,
yeah,
I think this is going to be a guy that's going to, if you have a solid option there, he's just going to add to the arsenal of weapons you have. And I think, I think he could be a good player. And, it's the Cowboys are going to have a casualty, whether it's trading Amari Cooper, like it kind of been talked about a little bit, or, I don't know that they're going to be able to bring back that wide receiver core.
Well, I got some news over here. It says Cowboys likely to release Cooper, not trade.
Yeah. Well, so I think they're gonna, they'll try to trade him, and then if they can't trade him, then they'll probably release him and let him go into free agency. But that's one of those that I just don't know how they retain everybody, especially with 16.25 is the projected number for Gregory. Like I think that's there's going to be some cap casualties there, and by releasing or trading Cooper as a possible possibility, I don't know. I just don't know that they could even also be able to retain Gregory.
Yeah.
As well. So this is a guy that I could absolutely see.
But his contract projection's pretty similar to what Clowney's would be. So I don't know. I don't know where he'd end up.
I think it's going to be with where the market is. I think that's kind of just going to be once you start getting into these outside the top 10.
Yeah.
This is kind of where you're going to see, your edge rushers and some of your other personnel guys. So
yeah. 15, Stephon Gilmore. How old is he now?
32.
Fuck, dude. I don't know. I mean, somebody might give him a shot, but I wouldn't be surprised, man, if nobody wanted to pay him, 2 years, 28 mil for you know what I mean? Like, corners in this league nowadays, I would say, I was literally thinking about this the other day, besides quarterback, obviously hardest position on the field. There's only 32 of them, obviously, and not all of them are good. Corner, the way the rules are for the offense in the NFL, I mean, corner's got to be one of the hardest positions besides quarterback to play, right? So, they get injured, like you have to have backups, I mean, the Browns have dealt with that, they're having good corners, but getting injured and having the next man up, you know what I mean? So really good corners are really hard to find. So 32 years old, man, I don't know.
I don't know that. I don't know that he stays in Carolina, but I could see a team, that's just kind of looking for a solid number 2 option.
Yeah. So he only played 8 games last year, and he was injured he played 11 games in 2020. So yeah, man, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it'd probably be a team who's maybe rebuilding and probably isn't going to make the playoffs. Maybe, like But they need some bodies maybe and some kind of veteran play in there. So maybe. But yeah, it's hard to tell, man. Quarterback. So speaking of cornerbacks, Carlton Davis, Tampa Bay.
Yes, sir.
Younger guy. See, this is what I think about the Tampa Bay as well. I feel like I can't remember like how they signed all the linebackers back last year, but I feel like some of the defensive pieces are probably going to split a little bit, right?
I like Carlton Davis, and again, this is going to be one of those guys that Tampa Bay's got 3 free agents here, unless you can kind of restructure some things, and this is going to be somebody that if I'm the Tampa Bay Bucks with how he's played for us, it's a guy that I'd like to try to retain. If we can restructure or move some pieces around.
Yeah.
But corner is just one of those premier positions.
How old is he?
So I can see him. So I can absolutely see him like getting the bag and bouncing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like he's number 1 cornerback. He's still young. There's definitely he's going to get some offers. He's going to be able to pick and choose exactly where he wants to go, and I think he'll get paid good for it. So we'll see, man. I don't know, because they got to deal with that. The Tampa Bay's got to deal with that, and then the Chris Godwin situation. So they got some decisions to make there. So
yeah.
I think the ball's in his court. 17, we got Tyrann Mathieu, Kansas City. How old is he now? He is, I forget when he got drafted, man. He's had some injuries early in his career. He's still pretty fucking good, dude. He can pretty much do anything.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to pay Tyreek Hill. I just don't know how they can retain him too.
Yeah, because it's saying, if you look at the market, right? So Minnesota paid Harrison Smith $64 million
on a 4-year deal.
Yeah. So like, if that's the market for a veteran like Matthews, I don't know, man.
It's gonna be tough
because the projection's 3 years, 48.75 mil, 16.25 mil per year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think he's gonna be playing in a different uniform next year.
Yeah.
And which is crazy because, like we've earlier in the season, Kansas City was looking really like dog shit because of that defense. If they lose him, I think Kansas City's defense that's a loss, man.
Yeah. And you know what? It's definitely a big loss, and like I said, I just don't know. I don't know how they retain him. I can't see it, but if they figure out a way to bring everybody back, and I was just looking at like what they were paying, their top 5 guys. Like they got Pat Mahomes is making a shit ton of money. Tyreek Hill's about to make a shit ton of money. If they figure out a way to like retain all these guys, then yeah, the salary cap is just a fucking myth. Like it doesn't exist really, but this is just one of those deals that, I can't see it, especially at 16.25 a year if they're going to try to bring him back. So
18, we got guard Brandon Scherf.
Sure.
Washington Commanders. I don't know if we ever broke that down, but this Commander's name, a lot of people are not liking it.
Every time I see it, I only think of Clerks, where he's like, "I am the commander." Like that's all I think of. I don't know why, but anyway.
But yeah, dude. Let's see. I don't know. Washington. We all know Washington's pretty good defensively. On offensive linemen are hard to, good ones are hard to find. Usually when they are good, by the time they hit free agency, they're picked up and they're getting paid pretty nicely. So, he tore his MCL and was out for a lot of the 2021 season. I don't know. So he's got some injuries.
This is a guy that I'm a big fan of. I think he's one of the better interior offensive linemen in the NFL,
Mm.
and he's going to get paid as such. I think in this offseason. But any team that's kind of looking for a veteran presence, they mentioned the Jets, and like I could see that being a good pickup for them because they have the cap space and it would just upgrade with what they already have in a couple of their offensive line talents this year. So
Yeah, man. I don't know. You think a team like the Commanders though that they need some
all the
pieces
help
still.
they need all the
Yeah.
help they can get too, right?
So it'd be nice to have some veteran play in there. If you could get him back, I think it'd be important. I mean,
Yeah, I mean you're going to need to address the quarterback position in
they got a
Washington.
lot of young talent too. So I don't know who they have to pay really right now. So I guess if you're going to pay anyone, make it that offensive line and make sure whoever's behind center is protected. 19, we got Odell Beckham, dude.
I think
honestly,
he stays. I think he stays.
dude. I mean,
he already said like he wants to,
Yeah, but like, dude, with his injuries, like, I wouldn't be surprised if. I mean, dude, if he just said I'm retiring from the game, that wouldn't surprise me either. Because, dude, he's this last like this like half his career, man, has gotta been physically fucking brutal with the injuries and shit. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, if he does come back from this one, I'd be surprised. Obviously, it's not something he hasn't done before with that knee. What was the verdict? Is it completely torn?
Yep. Yeah.
Was it all of them or just the ACL?
Just the ACL.
And was it the opposite knee that he injured?
Yes, I believe it was the opposite kney. Yeah.
I mean, it usually happens, but yeah. So, and usually they come back stronger. So maybe it's not too bad. Maybe we'll be able to get him. We'll see him play next year and ball out like he was doing this year as well. So it's unfortunate. And that was a non-contact injury. That's what's always weird about those, and that's why we have the NFLPA like saying that they would like all the stadiums to have grass fields because supposedly turf with as big and strong and fast these athletes they cause way more, like a significantly more ACL tears than grass does. So very interesting, actually.
Yes, I think he stays in the Rams because that's just that trio of players, Woods, Cup, OBJ, run it back, right? That's essentially how I look at it.
And last, number 20, we got tight end Mike Gesicki or fucking butchering his name.
Gesicki?
Gesicki, yeah, there we go. Played at Penn State, was a fucking stud. It's fucking crazy that he's already a free agent, dude. Didn't feel like he's been there playing with them that long. But yeah, he was a beast at fucking Penn State. I loved watching him play there. I don't know, man. I feel like he was in a situation where the quarterback play in Miami was not consistent. So there's that. I think he's athletic as shit as a tight end. I definitely think he could still add some value to a team that uses tight ends heavily. He's durable. He's missed one game in his 4 years. I just think that I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be if Miami let him walk, I think it would kind of be stupid. I can't. I've watched Miami a little bit. I don't know if they use tight ends heavily now. I can't remember which regime even drafted him, honestly. But shit, he'd be a guy that'd be great for. Because I think the Browns should get rid of fucking Hooper, and bring and make Njoku the guy, and then they have the young stud. And if they want to add another tight end that can catch the ball, I mean, fuck, I wouldn't be mad about him. But they do say his weakness is blocking. So I don't know, man. What do you think? You think he'll be back in Miami or?
Yeah, I think he'll come back. It's a guy that's been productive in their past game.
Oh, yeah, and then getting what's his face from the Rams. They had Higbee and I think they'll probably, he would be able to draw up plays to get him involved.
Or, maybe New England just spends a shit ton of money on another tight end because that's what they did last
That's
season
true.
with,
That's true.
Hunter Henry and shit. Like,
Yeah.
fuck it, we'll throw 15 million at this guy too. We'll have Gesicki, Jonnu, and Hunter Henry there. No, I'm just fucking playing. I like to troll Pats fans and Pats. But yeah, I think he goes back to Miami. Now, 13.25 a year might be a little steep, but I mean, they have him as, one of the better tight ends in the game. He's not as a receiver, sure. I just don't know that he's a complete player.
Yeah.
So makes it a little bit tough to palate that contract, but I could absolutely see, because he's like a slot / wideout guy, and that's kind of where he's at. So, I think you're probably, if you can get AAV around 10, 9.5 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably better. But yeah, that's gonna be tough because, it does say he played 85% of his snaps lined up in the slot or out wide as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You might want to get paid wide receiver money,
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll just kind of have to see how that market shakes out for him.
Dude, speaking of receivers, I just saw here on ESPN that the Bills granted Beasley permission to seek a trade.
Yeah, so this that piece is going to be, I think they want him to restructure his deal a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of cut it, cut back some money, or kind of spread it out, so that way they have a little bit more cap space available. And I think Beasley, was like, I don't know that I want to do that. I kind of wanted to get, keep it where we're at. So this is more or less, I think, let's see what the market looks like for myself. And then if push comes to shove and the market doesn't shake out the way I think it will for me, then I'll try to come back, sort of deal. So I think that's how it is. I'm not writing it off that he's going to be a goner, but it's, I just think that, he was one of those guys that was a roster bubble guy or a cut candidate anyway for cap space wise. So, if he does end up getting traded or he does leave or get cut, in the off season, not only does it factor into the comp pick formula for the Bills, but, it makes a lot of sense from a cap standpoint too. So, we'll see how that shakes out, but I'm not writing it off that he's gone. He's a goner yet. So.
Yeah. What was I gonna say here? That was number 20. Let's see here. Who else we got, man? I mean, we could talk a little combine stuff, I guess. I've been mostly just watching some shit on the Twitterverse here. I don't know. I mean, the combine, we made it a big media event. It's cool to see everybody run their drills and do all that shit and the 40-yard dashes and all that stuff. But really, I mean, how much does it all fucking mean? I don't know. Probably not much. When we see those stories all the time of, people being like, maybe their combine performance isn't great, right, but they come into the league and then they end up fucking killing it, so we see it all the time.
I mean, your combine, let's just be honest with ourselves here. The combine is really a opportunity for teams in, front office and scouts to get in front of these guys for interviews. I mean, that's probably the biggest piece you get from the combine, also with networking for potential deals, for players that are currently on your roster. But really, you're looking at any measurements here, you're really just verifying the stuff that you've already been studying for probably multiple years with some of these prospects. You know what I mean? So like you watch tape and you watch 3 years worth of tape on a guy and you go, all right, well, he looks fast, he looks explosive, like he does a lot of good things that we like. Let's see how he runs. Let's see how he moves on the field with some of his peers, and let's just confirm what we're seeing there. So like your vert jumps, your benches, your 40 times, your, some of the drills that they're running. That's all that is just looking at it and saying, okay, we saw this on film in multiple games, and now we know that he can do that because here's what he ran, here's what he put up bench wise, here's what he did in his 3-cone drill and his shuttle times, so it really is just, I think they're getting official measurements. they're getting in front of these players for interviews, and they're just kind of confirming what they've seen on tape. I think that's really your biggest components for the combine.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it is impressive to see some shit like I'm watching this. It's on Trevor Penning. He's an offensive lineman, and he ran like a 4.9 140.
the dude's actually like, it's kind of very similar to like what Spencer Brown was for the Bills last year. Obviously, he was a teammate of Spencer Brown's
I didn't know
at
that.
Northern Iowa too. Yeah, but like just one of those guys that's like, he's a baller,
Yeah.
and he's a big nasty guy, and I think he's going to be a mid first to maybe early second round pick, kind of in that vicinity, playing at a smaller school, but but you see some of the athletic traits there,
Yeah.
right? He looks athletic on film, but he played for Northern Iowa, so it's like, okay, let's confirm what we saw. Oh man, now he's a 4.9 guy, very explosive, good vert, like, okay, that's a guy that we can see why he's a top prospect in this class, and it backed up with the measurements and the performance that he did at the combine. So
Yeah, well, I just think from a spectator like entertainment. I mean, I think out of anything, I mean, the fact that 300+ pound fucking offensive linemen are running 4.9 40s is just insane to me. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't used to be like that, and now you got these massive fucking humans being able to, average that. It's like, doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, like Evan Neal,
because
like
they also got him. They also got, because in this video, it's not just him running the 40. Trevor's also, they're like, oh, here's him squatting 625 and then doing a windmill dunk. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's like, like guys like Evan Neal. Did you see the box jump that he did, where he did a box jump and he like split his legs?
Huh?
Dude, yeah, and this dude's 6'6". Like, I forget what his measurements was. Let me see if I can find it. But like, he looks like a tight end, but he's 340 fucking pounds. Like, just a freak of nature. If you can find the video, yeah, 6'7.5", 337.
That's insane.
And he looks like a tight end. Like, you see him standing there, kind of reminds me of like Tyron Smith a little bit. Like that dude was a fucking cyborg. But yeah, if I'll find this video, I'll send it to you. But like, him doing box jumps was like, holy shit! Like, you should not be able to do that at 6'7".
Yeah,
it's 340 pounds.
Well, then before we started recording, I was pulling up I forget his name, the D tackle from Georgia. Oh, here we go. Jordan Davis,
monster
dude, 6'6", 341. I mean, like, his wingspan's 81 inches. Like, dude, he's just a massive human being, and he's like, even for being a 341, like, yeah, he's a big dude. Like, he's not like, I mean, he's got a little gut on him, but he's not like a fat 341. You know what I mean? Like, he's pretty fucking solid. He's gonna give some offensive lineman problems, I think, wherever he goes. So, but yeah, man, there's just so much to cover. And dude, that safety from this is random kind of, but that safety from Notre Dame, I didn't realize
Kyle Hamilton.
I didn't realize how big he was.
This
like
dude,
6'4", dude.
Bro, this dude is
a big safety.
Yeah. And I think like people are projecting him to the Jets, and it's just hilarious because they're like they're having flashbacks of Jamal Adams being taken real high.
Yeah.
And they're like, please, for the love of God, don't. But like, this guy's a baller.
Yeah. Dude, like, just offenses that play, anybody who plays the Jets offensively should be thankful that like this isn't 90s ball where you could come across the middle and just get fucking annihilated, because that's a guy that would fucking take your head off. So you're kind of lucky you can't really, get away with that nowadays, or that dude would fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Right. This dude's a, just a cover all parts of the field, big tackler, like, just he's an animal. He's an animal.
Dude, I didn't send it to you, I don't think. I saw a TikTok the other day and I was laughing my ass off because I don't know what year it was from. I don't think it was this year. I fucking would hope it would be from this year because I've never seen it before, and I feel like we would have seen it at some point. But they were doing the interview process, And the dude was like, they're like, if there's one thing you could change about yourself, what would it be? And he was like, honestly, they're like, yeah. He's like bigger dick.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny?
When was that
I think
from?
the Bills. No, the Bills had him on the practice squad.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. I
I
forget
don't
who
know
it
what year
was.
that was from, but like I'd never
It was
seen
like
it. I was like,
like
that
last year or 2
that
two
is
years ago.
hilarious, dude.
Yeah. Hey, I
Hilarious.
mean, at least you're being honest, I guess, right? Like,
Dude,
holy shit.
that's like typical locker room talk that nobody would ever see. And that dude was like, I'm just gonna put this out there. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
they thought it was hilarious. Like,
they did. Everybody
at least he's
laughed,
being honest, right? At
Yeah.
least he's being honest. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
That's funny. Fuck, man. Yeah. Other than that, man, I mean, like, there's still a lot to cover. We'll be covering combine shit and draft stuff in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, like we got free agency opening up. You're going to see a lot of moves going on, and then we'll prepare for the draft here in late April. So we have plenty of time to break down more of these prospects. Other than that, like news wise, I mean, for those of you who don't know, the USFL is coming back, and they have, I think, 8 teams, and I think they start. Let's see here. When do they start? What the fuck? Let's see. April 16th to mid-June. So, how long were they? They were in the 80s, right? The USFL, yeah, that was back in the 80s. There was like a beef between them and the NFL, and they ended up folding, right? There wasn't that was one of the ones that wasn't that one of the ones where like Trump owned a team? Wasn't that the USFL and then it ended up folding, right?
yeah, that was
I think so.
yeah, that was like because like that was the league that Jim Kelly decided to play in
Yeah,
when he started. Yep.
When he decided that he never wanted to play for Buffalo, ended up there anyway.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, we got the Houston Gamblers. We got the hang on. I can't see. It's too small. Let's see how many teams. We got 8 teams. Oh, here we go. They had a draft, right? And I was shocked by the draft because I was like, oh, who the fuck they drafting? Like, how do like where would they pull from? Did they have like they pulling from they still drafting people from college? Like, are people saying like we're gonna like I don't know. It was confusing to me, but let's see here. First round. So we got QBs here. We got Shea Patterson, which didn't he play for fucking
Michigan.
Oh, that's right. So they must have just pulled from people who didn't get drafted, you know what I mean? And like maybe they had tryouts. I don't really know, or like, maybe their own combine and like maybe just had people attend it. See if there's any other familiar names. Kyle Laletta. He played for isn't he the one that's all tatted that played for Mississippi State?
He was
Right?
no, he was
I'm getting everybody mixed up.
oh shit, where did he play?
I don't Jordan Tyamu. Don't know him. Brian Scott.
He played at Richmond.
But he got didn't he get drafted?
He was the Giants in 18 and the Eagles in 19.
That's right. Yeah, he did get drafted a little bit. All right. So he's making his face known. Got Patterson there from Michigan. If I just fucking because that's when okay. That's right. Because Patterson was at Mississippi and transferred to Michigan. That's when everybody was like, oh, he's gonna fucking make Michigan great. And I remember him now. And then we got a little breakdown of everybody else. This might be the guy I was thinking of. So Mississippi, Jordan Ta'amu. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name or not.
He was Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Yep.
He was with the Texans in 2019. Went to the XFL, and then obviously, the COVID fucking killed him. Now he's back in the USFL, so he's gonna be playing ball again. I remember him briefly. Philadelphia Stars. I should probably read all these teams, right? So we got so Michigan's got a team, Michigan Panthers. That makes sense. They kept him in Michigan. Tampa Bay's got a team, Bandits. That's where Jordan's going. And then Philadelphia Stars, Brian Scott, Occidental College, which is kind of weird. Never fucking heard of it. They called him Aaron Rodgers of Division III. Kind of funny. I don't know why you'd say that. So yeah, I don't know. We got that. That's probably why we never heard of him. I think that's what's cool about this league. Like, we're going to see a lot of players that we're going to get those stories, right? Where like players go here and they ball out and they get their shot and maybe they have a career in the NFL, maybe they don't. Ben Holmes, New Jersey Generals. So New Jersey's got a team. This dude played at Tarleton State. So a lot of these guys that played at smaller schools are getting a chance, and I think that's cool because like they get the level up after college. Maybe they played at a small college, and then they were able to take the next step, play a better talent, and potentially get to the big games, the NFL. Houston Gamblers, Clay Thorson, Northwestern. I think he spent some time in the NFL. He's got an Eagles jersey on here. 5th round. Philadelphia selected him in 2019 at 10,731 yards, 61 touchdowns, and 27 on the ground in his 4 seasons at Northwestern. I don't really remember him at Northwestern.
The name doesn't sound familiar to me. Who was it? Thorson, you said?
Clayton Thorson. He's 26.
Yeah. Okay. That does. All right. That does sound a little bit more familiar to me now.
Yeah. Birmingham. So Alabama's got a team. Birmingham Stallions. Alex McGough, Florida International is where he played. I think he was drafted in 2018 to the Seahawks. So a lot of these guys looks like they played in the NFL for a little bit, or like at least on a practice squad. Pittsburgh's got a team. They're the ones that Pittsburgh Maulers. They're the ones that took Loletta. And then we got New Orleans as a team. They're called the Breakers. Kyle Slaughter, Northern Colorado. And then we got, I'm literally just spitballing here, by the way. So those are the quarterbacks taken. So yeah, so it looks like they just kind of had their own little draft and pulled players that they have seen. I'm sure they had some kind of combine. You know what I mean? Like, you had to get out there and see some players, right? I mean, some of these guys got drafted a few years ago, so like they had to like watch tape and.
I don't know that they would have done a combine or anything, but like I'm sure that these teams have done their due diligence on previous, just previous stints with NFL teams, and just
because I know Jeff Fisher's a coach, and I know that Todd Haley's a coach for this couple teams. So we got some NFL guys in there. So yeah, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm gonna watch this shit. We got 42 days until the season starts. I think it'll be fun. Who's not gonna watch spring football? I mean, come on now. And then the XFL comes back next year, so we'll have 2 different leagues in the spring. It's like, fuck it, because I'm not a big basketball fan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna bet on maybe the tournament and shit. But other than that, man, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Interesting. So people are getting some second chances. I like that. And the NFL does need a feeder system of some sort. You know what I mean? The Canadian Football League just doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's going to be this and the XFL for sure. Like, USFL, XFL. Yeah, I think there's going to be some crossover, some opportunity for some beta testing on new rules, new strategies, things like that. So, which I think the XFL already talked about doing anyway.
Oh, so yeah. I think they partnered with the NFL or something. I saw like recently. Kind of sucks they decided to push back 2023, but it is what it is. But I'm excited for that. Dude, I honestly didn't think we would be able to make this podcast go this long today because of just not a lot of shit we had to talk about, but somehow we, probably due to my fucking gift of gab that we stretch this bitch out.
Listen, dude, what I'm really excited about now is to really start diving in, and start doing our own mocks and kind of building out episodes with
Yeah.
our own mock drafts here going forward,
Well,
because
yeah.
combine is going to happen, free agency is going to happen, and we're going to really start to be able to push out good fits and kind of get more ammunition for this going forward. So
Yeah,
it'll be
we'll
fun.
see. Maybe next week. So what we got? 10 days. We'll see what next week's looks like. I might be a little booked up, so we might have to maybe do like an every other week thing. But like, uh, we'll see what happens. But basically, the next one that we do, that obviously we got free agency 10 days away. So we're gonna have some shit to talk about for sure. Before we
Oh
go
yeah.
though, I'm gonna talk about, because you don't really watch UFC too much. We got a big fight card today, which means your boy's gonna be betting money. I'm on a losing streak with UFC after I had that hot streak, right? It's really hard to bet on. So if you do watch it, you got the main event tonight, which is Colby Covington versus Masvidal. And they used to train together and they fucking hate each other. They're both good at like talking shit. It's gonna draw a lot of eyeballs. It's gonna be a good pay-per-view. But I wasn't even I'm not gonna break down the fights or anything. I just wanted to bring it up because one of my favorite fighters, who I think could have been the best all-time heavyweight, but he was so strong for his body. His body kept breaking down at one point, and even when he tried to come back, he lost, and I think he blew his knee out or some shit. But Cain Velasquez, dude, he was a monster back in the day. He's actually an ASU. He was a wrestler for ASU and was like one of the best in the country whenever he was coming up. But this news came out over the weekend. I don't know if you heard it. They're like, "Oh, Cain Velasquez arrested for attempted murder." And you're like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like he had a stint with WWE too, and stopped doing that. And it didn't seem like a thing that guy would do. And then like a day later, or whatever, the story comes out that like they said it was his daughter, then it was like a niece, but like basically a family member. It could have been his daughter. I don't know yet if that was confirmed, but there was a daycare, and the people that owned it, I don't know if it was a son or like what it was, but there was this guy who was being, I don't know if he was being prosecuted, but they were saying like supposedly he was getting busted for like fucking molesting some of these kids. Well, one of the kids being either his 4-year-old daughter or a niece. You're talking about an ex-UFC champion who could literally kill you with his bare hands at heavyweight, a fucking all-American wrestler, just clearly snapped, apparently. The parents were picking this dude up. So I don't know how old the person is or anything like that, but the parents were in the car apparently. And from what I've read anyway, I'm sure more information's come out. But basically, the dude shot, like followed them and shot, fired a gun, ended up hitting the dad, and the dad was in critical condition. So he missed the fucking person he was trying to go for. But like everybody's kind of like, hey man, like we kind of understand why he went crazy and kind of did it. Cause like especially if it was his 4-year-old daughter, like imagine like, and it happened multiple times with the other kids, and whoever his relative is, whether it's daughter or niece, doesn't really fucking matter. Both of it's family regardless. Everybody's kind of like, man, I kind of got his back on this, It's like he was trying to take that motherfucker out, And I'm kind of like, I kind of agree too, dude. Like, how people say that they would fucking do that? Well, you did it to the one guy that actually fucking would. You know what I mean? So like, crazy fucking story, dude. Crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Conversely, it's like,
I mean, he could kill that dude with his bare hands.
Yeah, that's what the justice system is in place for. Like, yeah, unfortunately, as a citizen, you don't get to be judge, jury, and executioner there. Now, had you caught it firsthand and you seen it, like, oh, this motherfucker, like, and then you beat the shit out of him there,
Yeah.
like, I can understand it. But like, knowing that this was a thing, tracking him down to do, like, I don't know, man. Like I understand, like, I get it why, like, you would do it, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, had that guy gone through due diligence and gone to prison, like that shit's gonna happen to him anyway in prison. Like they hate fucking molesters and pedophiles in prison. So
but
like,
you're also talking about a dude who's I mean, think about it. Like he came up in the days of the UFC where like it was just starting to get popular. So like you had to be kind of a fucking nut job to even do that, right?
Right. Right.
So like you're talking about a guy who's already crazy enough to get in there and fucking fight for a living. So uh you can tell like that imagine like the rage in a guy like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just like your everyday guy. Like
Right. No, I get it.
you fucked with someone who's like already kind of on the crazy has a crazy side. You know what I mean? So I don't know, dude. Sometimes you get what you get. It's pretty crazy, but I'm sure more will develop on that story. But it's just a fucking crazy story that came out. I wanted to kind of touch on because I do watch UFC and I do bet on it. So when we do the show next, stay tuned. We'll see if I win my bets today because I'm gonna fucking I took a break from the Super Bowl. It's been some time now since I got my ass fucking handed to me. So we'll see. We'll see what I come up with this week. So
there you go.
But yeah, if you want to follow us, you can do that at AJXO Pod. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. AJXO Pod. Yeah.
I don't know why that sounded weird to me. It's been a while. That's on Twitter and TikTok. And then personally, you can follow me at Justin_Maxim on the Twitter.
And y'all can follow me on the Twitter at BillsFan53, but it's B1, the number 1, LLSFan53. So be sure to give us a little follow and interaction, and follow the pod, follow us personally on Twitter, not in real life because that'd just be weird, and restraining orders would probably be in order, but this is how it goes.
Yeah. So that's all we got for today. And until next time, y'all be sweet.